going to be the most enjoyable map for me personally watching this. Purely for the basis that I think this is Dignitas' best chance of getting a map today. I think ENVYUS will be strong favourites coming into this game. A lot of people probably fancy them to 2-0 this, but Train, a map that ENVYUS are not the strongest on. They're a bit sketchy on this map, whereas Dignitas have beat them in the past here on Train. So I think it's 1-for-1 so far between these two teams on Train over the last month and a half or so. So I'll be very interested to see how this one plays out. Obviously, knife round's pretty important. We'll be starting on that CT side, and Dignitas have picked it up for themselves. So this will put them in the best shape to start off Train.
And we should be getting live with it here in just a few moments. Moving over to the second map, it is going to be over on Inferno, which should be an interesting one as well, considering, historically speaking, for ENVYUS, this is a fairly hit-or-miss map for these guys, so there is a very large possibility that we could actually see Dignitas win this today. So we'll have to wait and see how that does pan out. But as you mentioned before, that really depends on how Dignitas ends up showing up. Recently, they've been doing a very, very good job in their online matches, but that question is going to be, does it continue here today? As this is, of course, going to be those grand finals, and they're playing against ENVYUS, probably one of the top 3 teams in the world right now. So it's going to be a tough test for them, but they've managed to beat plenty of other teams of their caliber before in online matches. Just a couple weeks ago, when they were playing the Starletter online stages, if I remember correctly, I think you were with me when this happened. They actually managed to, I think they remember when they played TSN? Did they beat them there, or did they like almost beat them there?
I think they narrowly lost, but it was really close. Yeah, they took them to the wire. So yeah, the online, very, very strong team indeed. Definitely capable of causing an upset today. But as you said, ENVYUS, one of the best teams in the world. I would expect them to cruise through.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you fancy ENVYUS. I think this is the map that Dignitas could pick up, and if they win this map, and there's so much pressure on ENVYUS, as you say, Inferno, a map that they can have crazy good performances on, but they have also lost against teams as well recently, ENVYUS. So who knows? Anything's possible, but we are kicking things off here into the first round. Some
of the players do have incorrect names going right now. I'm sure you can figure out who the ones that aren't actually naming themselves by are just by process of elimination, because thankfully Kenny S had like a really weird name earlier. I forget what it was, but they've since changed it. But we're now live, folks. So taking a look now at the pistol round, where MSL is taking a very forward position back over here in the back B halls. He is going to get dinked down to about 51 HP, but thankfully he spots this entire play coming back down ramp. That's not going to slow ENVYUS down, and Kenny and Keo rush out immediately to pick up the first 2 kills already onto the site. The members of ENVYUS goes right back around here too, shutting down Config, and unfortunately for Dignitas, the defenses continue to roll away here, as it looks like ENVYUS are in full control of this first pistol round.
Yeah, absolutely. Config was the man there. The only chance really for Dignitas to get anything back into this round. He started to wrap himself round, snaking in the backside of ENVYUS, but very smart, just checking that one, shut him down. Easy round for ENVYUS, and kicking things off very comfortably indeed. Double AKs in play. MBK, I was going to say, I'd prefer him to actually pick up the SMG there. I feel like 3 AKs could be a little bit sketchy. So they got the 2 SMGs, they're going to build up that economy. And indeed, for those of you that are wondering, Kingsley is happy. Just throwing it out there.
Apex
but as
actually,
you said, it's pretty obvious though.
yeah. Apex actually not going to invest anything this round, and this is starting to become more and more of a common thing. Just for that exact occurrence right there, that normally you're going to lose like 1 or 2 players in the anti-eco round, and because of that happening, now we can just see Apex roll right back. He can pick up the gun that was dropped, and now they virtually lost nothing with this player going down, as long as no one else dies, which appears to be the case. MSL is the last one alive, and Kenny's going to handle that quite well, as he gets a 4K in that second round.
Indeed, he does. So that puts ENVYUS obviously already at 2-0. Dignitas did go for a deagle or 2 there in that last round. Only the 1 kill overall so far. So ENVYUS just going to keep with this same composition of weaponry, try and farm up a tiny bit on Kenny S. Expect him to go out aggressively with MBK. If they lose those weapons, no real issue. They can easily replenish with AK-47s. Config just runs right into the crosshair of Happy, who will put him down. Looks for the second as well, which was Kirby, I think, pushing through Connector. And there's Kenny S. Just charging out with the Mac 10. No cares given, and another bomb plant, and another round for ENVYUS, barring a miraculous play. Considering there's 2 USPs, I mean, there's really such a little hope for Dignitas to get anything out of this round from this point.
They do manage to take down at least one of the players here, but that looks like that's gonna be all they're able to grab, as Kenny wrapping back out through the connector. Able to take down 2 more players directly after that. It's just Rubino now, and he is shut down by Happy to end the round very quickly. So a nice clean start for ENVYUS here, going 3-0 right from the beginning. Barely any losses either, and Kenny stacking up a huge amount of cash. He's already sitting at 11k, hasn't even died. He got something like 7 kills out of these anti-eco rounds, so he can easily afford to upgrade to the op. He's even going to toss his gun over to Apex. They're feeling confident. They're not even going to upgrade everybody to rifle just as of yet. For Dignitas, though, they do get the rifles in play, and more interestingly, Rubino is going to go for a glass cannon op buy, so let's see how this pans out. As the rest of ENVYUS' members now working their way through the white halls very, very slowly, with 0 presence on A currently.
I think this is really smart from ENVYUS not upgrading those 2 SMGs, realizing that if Dignitas go for the utility, they will be lacking head armor, and that's where the SMGs can really pounce. You can see only Tensky and MSL have head armor, as you called before, glass cannon up on Rubino. So yes, there's 2 SMGs in play, but if MBK and Apex can land those headshots, it probably doesn't matter that much. Here goes the push, though. Rubino has the first one. MSL will pick up the frag in midair onto MBK, which drops the bomb, but Kiyoshima's going to get that one. Kenny S peeks out of ramp, delivering the fatal blow onto Tensky. And that bomb will be planted again. 3-on-3 scenario retake for Dignitas.
Now the player's pushing forward here. Config leads the charge, but he misses his opportunity to take down Kyo. Thankfully, it's a good flash, but it doesn't matter, as Kyo is able to take down Config anyway with a headshot. Kenny coming in with another one. And now it's just going to be Kirby as the final one left alive. Stuck behind the smoke. Might be able to find himself Kyo if he peeks down the lane, but no. Kenny S is going to continue to shut things down, finding yet another multi-kill round here. And ENVYUS win the first gun round.
And Kenny S 12-0. Beast. Fair enough, some of those are anti-eco rounds, but still. That last round when he went massive with the AWP. And as you can see, the 2 SMGs dropped, no issue whatsoever. Just dip into their money bags and pull out some AK-47s for ENVYUS. And now Dignitas on the back foot with a few upgraded pistols. 3 Deagles, a CZ and a P250. And just hoping for those 1 Deags to land. Otherwise, ENVYUS will be cruising to a 5-0 lead here. ENVYUS already just peeking out of teammate, realizing that the economy of Dignitas is sketchy, so it's unlikely they're going to have any nades just yet. And there we go. Going to get the opening pick from Apex. And just like that, there should be cruise control once again for ENVYUS here.
Happy just tapping away, fighting yet another kill here on the Kirby. Rubino with a nice pickup, though. Apex not exactly expecting him to be sitting up on the ladder there, so he's going to get a bit of a surprise. It is quickly traded back by Kiyoshima as he finds MSL. Now again, the rest of Dignitas severely limited. They are holding back, and you can see with that AK, might have been able to do a little bit of work, but the rampage continues here from ENVYUS, as there's going to be MBK taking down the rifle, and then finishing off the final player there. Tensky is going to fall to Kenny. ENVYUS continue their rampage here, but Dignitas now finally able to get a full buy round. This includes the op with the armor this time, along with every other player having the rifle and full utility. So maybe we can finally see something placed onto the board here by these CTs. If not, ENVYUS are starting to get in a very, very dangerous position that Dignitas is going to have to try to reverse soon. Otherwise, map 1 could already be going by the way of the boys in blue.
Absolutely. They're already starting to get into that dangerous territory. Of course, Dignitas can pull this back. We've seen comebacks from this kind of situation before many times. And now they have better weaponry and more utility to use. This could be the moment to strike. But if they lose this round, the alarm bells will begin to ring. MSL goes for the peak. Does do negligible damage onto Kiyoshima. Lances back with a headshot of his own. That's a horrendous start from Dignitas. No real information given either, with 1 minute and 20 left to go. ENVYUS can easily wrap themselves back onto that A site, and you can see from their current positions, they can easily just push through Ivy as well. So now Dignitas have to spread themselves that much thinner. This is looking worrying.
Config's going to take up a position in ladder, and this could potentially surprise, but no, 2 players jumping down at once. He's going to completely shut it down. Kirby does manage to find one inside of the Ivy push, but immediately 2 more are traded back by both Apex and himself. As now it's just Rubino left alive, sitting behind the bomb train, going to try to pull off a defense, but not looking so good. He's already down to 15 HP. He's being boxed in, can't connect a single shot with that op. And then again, we see ENVYUS just crushing it here, now to 6-0. And still, basically, 0 players going down here. The total death count, the total kill count, when you look at Dignitas, is only 7 kills for the entire team so far. So everybody on ENVYUS is in an amazing position economically at this point. And not only this, but they're on T side too. So even if things were a little bit more strugglesome, it wouldn't be too much trouble, just because the T side is so much more forgiving when it comes to the players going down.
That's exactly it. So 7 kills in 6 rounds is brutal. And Config and Tensky both on for the bond, and Config's just got dropped from Kenny S. Tensky will answer back with a nice little 1-tap there onto Happy. But still, the damage surely has been done in this round. Rubino's been picked off. Will they expect Kirby to be on the tight left of Ivy? Maybe not, but can he do anything with this position? Yes, he can. Gets the headshot onto MBK, can pick up the AK-47, but still, it's a 2-on-3. And very low indeed, and a lot of time for ENVYUS to get that bomb planted still.
Kenny now pressing out. He's found one of the final two here, but it's going to be Apex that ends up handling it. However, as we can see, Kirby, he picked up that AK. He's got armor too, so it wouldn't be completely out of the picture to try and save this, but it looks like Kenny's probably going to peek him here in a second, so we will have a bit of a duel. Neither player really wants to challenge the other one. What's interesting is the fact that ENVYUS are actually still sitting back because they don't exactly know where Kirby's gone, but there's the peek we were looking for, and it ends up being Kirby that does it. So they end the round again. No bomb plan even needed here for ENVYUS. They shut it down, and things are now starting to look very, very rough indeed for Dignitas. They've got another buy round coming here, but unfortunately, we just haven't really seen a very good defense pulled off here. Almost every single entry ENVYUS have tried just to go for here, even on these higher pressure gun rounds, has been successful. So right now, these guys are just cruising through the T-half.
Yeah, sometimes when we're casting games at like 7-0 doesn't paint the full picture. There's been a couple 1v1s, 2v2s, like really close rounds. This has been dominant from ENVYUS. Every round has been pretty much one-sided. Maybe they've lost a player here or there, but it's been easy rounds for them. There's been no close ones whatsoever. So that's the sad news for Dignitas. They can't even think, well, okay, boys, we're 7-0 behind, but, you know, we've had a really good defense. They've been slaughtered. So this is, for me, one of their last chances now on their CT side. If they lose this, their economy's back into the ground, and ENVYUS will have a winning half, whatever happens. So it's super important for Dignitas that they can start to get some momentum on the board before it's too late.
The defense is very malplaced here right now. If we do see ENVYUS just continuing to go for this inner push, we can see there's going to be someone rotating over, but the rest of the players on the other side of that A site, so they're going to be coming in very late. There's Apex pushing. MSL does not even expect him to push that short lane there, so that's going to be an easy kill he picks up at the start of this. Pushing in to find another one, picking up one, transferring it to the second, running out of ammo, but there's just no response coming up from Rubino. Thankfully, we see at least one kill picked up by the members of Dignitas, but they've been boxed out of this site. But take a look, however, up and upper here. They don't see Config slowly sneaking around. Kenny's going to find one more. Config finds one and two. Kenny and Keo both knocking down now. And now they're starting to press their way back in. And Kirby picking up an additional frag. We may finally have something on the board. But take a look at Happy sitting behind these players. He's flanked them all. He's taking his time, though, waiting for the defuse to start. Gets himself into a position, picking up the first one. But he doesn't think the Kirby's as close as he is. And Kirby doesn't realize this either. As now he still has that position behind the bomb train. And Kirby's burning alive. He's at 8 HP. He's out of time. What the heck has Dignitas just done? And Happy's going to clutch out the round for Envy.
Oh man, he had time to just peek around the train. He'd have caught Happy with his pants down and Molotov out. That's so frustrating to watch, but just as I was saying that every round has been clear-cut, that's the first time that Dignitas have had a real hope of picking up a round. They'll be kicking themselves. At least they got frags though. At least they've got weapons again here. Yes, it's about an AWP. Yes, it doesn't have a huge amount of grenades and only one defuse kit, but try and take the positives where you can, Dignitas, because so far this has been as one-sided as a game of Counter-Strike could possibly be. ENVYUS, though, 8-0 to the good, will finish ahead at the end of this half, whatever happens from here on out. And honestly, this could turn out to be a horror show, Blue, for Dignitas. They could get absolutely wrecked on this off.
That has to suck so much for Kirby, because you would have think he had all the signs in the world. We weren't looking at it from his perspective, so it's a little bit harder to judge. But from what we were looking at on Happy's perspective in that play, it looked like he had all the signs in the world to see that you know, like, Happy was just around the corner, but for some reason he thought he started pressing forward to the bomb crate to take a more upfront defense, and that was obviously not the case. Thankfully, both players actually screwed up there, because I think Happy was expecting him to go directly for the bomb too, but since Happy was sitting further back, that play ends up favoring him, and his mistake is not as big as the one as Kirby made, and now we still have Dignitas not getting on the board. Finally, however, this may start to happen for the guys on the CT side as they're picking up kills left and right. Very impressive round for Kirby and Config there, as they actually finally managed to shut things down and now get a point onto the board for themselves, or a round onto the board for themselves.
I suppose trying to be optimistic here for Dignitas, if they can somehow claw this back to an 8-7. ENVYUS known for going for force buys, known for being a very confident team in their own ability. On CT side, that can really harm you, that can really hamper your economy. So that's one thing that maybe Dignitas will have in the back of their head going forward here, and one of their lifelines to get back into this game. The problem now is they've just reset their round loss, so if they lose this round, they are absolutely boned. So it's super important to just keep that momentum going forward. ENVYUS have been on the ropes the last 2 rounds. I think another reason why that clutch came in is Kirby may have assumed that Happy wasn't aware that the person that tickled the bomb was the one that he killed. So maybe he assumed that there was still a bomb defusal going on, and that therefore he assumed that Happy would push onto the site. That's the only thing I can think of for Kirby, which is why he didn't check the angle there. Very unfortunate. But either way, round 10, no early casualties. Look, Kenny has been tagged down 28.
ENVYUS this one round loss too, because we have some players playing things a little bit more aggressively. It has brought the money down to quite a large degree. In fact, if we see actually Dignitas being able to pick up consistent rounds now, we can probably see ENVYUS's economy broken in the next 2 to 3 rounds. The problem is, though, is that they are going to stack up a losing bonus throughout all this time, so it may never end up being broken to begin with here. And obviously that has its own set of benefits for ENVYUS. But Apex, he's going to pick up the first kill. And then NBK finding another one back down towards Ivy. A teammate does manage to get himself in harm's way over there, and that's going to be Kirby as he gets himself into a little bit of a battle. But, again, the kills just continue to roll in for ENVYUS. A little bit of a bump in the road as, well, Happy somehow killed himself at the end of the round there, I think, with that molly. But that was an interesting thing to watch as Auto Director tried to show us that, but it looked very weird from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the assault on the wound, so for Dignitas, you look at their economy, man, they're almost having to force buy through pure desperation, realizing, you know, in a perfect world, if Dignitas lose and they just reset their round loss bonus, they still have a chance to eco up, get a decent-ish half. They have to go for broke now. Desperate times call for desperate measures. They go for a force buy with a P90 and a couple of FAMASes, and Kennyette with another peak. Moves on 18 for 2. Unbelievable performance from him. MSL gets the first frag, gets traded out instantly as he drops down. I think he was reloading as well, so stuck in the animation. Tensy's going to stand up big with the 5-7. The bomb has been dropped right next to him, but he can't do too much with this weapon. If he had M4, I think he goes back to try and trade. 3-on-3, though. This is still doable for Dignitas, and you've got Kirby coming up from behind.
And now they're starting to press their way forward here. Kirby lining up some targets, but he's not going to find anything in the white hole. In fact, he pushes against it, and now he's been spotted there by Kenny. But Kenny in a close-up encounter may not be the best bet for him. Thankfully, he is able to force him away. The nade bouncing down. There's the peek from Keo. Still not going to be able to find anything, but they want to shut this down. There's only 2 targets left there. Oh, Kirby actually managing to dodge death for the time being, but Keo, he wants to hunt it. So he's going to move out, look to take it down. Could be his doom here if Kirby peeks at the correct time. Should be able to hear him right now. And in the meantime, this is actually completely halting ENVYUS, but I think they've assumed he's escaped and fallen back inside of T-Connector there. So they are just going to let him live for the time being. But still, now he's in... Okay, we should be back now, so you can continue.
Ah, sweet. So apparently you couldn't hear us for a couple seconds there.
Yeah.
I was just saying that ENVYUS played that smart, the fact that they just went for the bomb instead of hunting for the frags, realizing that the currency that counts now is how many rounds can we get on our T side before we switch over. 10 is already a fantastic car from a T's perspective. And even though the weapons were safe from Tensky and Kirby, is it going to matter? Like, what can they buy alongside this? They're deciding for nothing. They want to try and maybe scrape together 2 or 3 rounds, but then you go through onto the T side against ENVYUS. Is there any hope here, Blue? I mean, honestly, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I feel this map may already be over, to be honest.
I have to agree with you, just with the way that we're seeing ENVYUS play this as well. ENVYUS kind of on point today, although starting off this round with a bit of some team damage is not going to be the best way to work it. And Dignitas as well, we just haven't really seen the innovation in their CT side strat to try and counter out what ENVYUS are throwing at them. It's not like ENVYUS are doing anything like super fantastic. Strategically, I mean, they're just look at Kenny, like Kenny's just lining them up left and right, and Dignitas is handing over these kills at the end of it. No utilities being used to try and hold the members of ENVYUS back. They're just letting them walk into the site in so many rounds, and obviously it's led to the scoreline that we have to work with here.
I mean, Kenny S is 21 for 2 after 12 rounds. That is ridiculous. Fragging, like unbelievable fragging on the T side of Train, and most of those have been AWP shots. Like, he got a fair few in the anti-eco rounds, but since then he's probably added like 10, 12 kills to his tally. That is ridiculous fragging from him. And as you say, it hasn't been anything too elaborate from ENVYUS. It's just been solid entry frag. It's been solid AWP shots from Kenny S.
Yeah, I would say around 60 to 70% of his kills have been with the AWP. There's probably like 7 to 10 that have been done with SMGs and pistols, but beyond that, it's all been the AWP that he's worked with. So he's been impressing today. Apex as well has actually been doing quite a good job with these entries. That's a nice example of it right there. Just popping out there, finds Tensky on an easy pickup. And again, this is another round where Dignitas have rifles, so that's normally something that's going to be a little bit harder to accomplish, but The way Dignitas are playing today, it's not seeming it's the case, as ENVYUS again now is going to sit back, and this is the point too where they're actually playing this slowly on purpose, because Dignitas are kind of going to start to probably get a little bit more aggressive. This happens with a lot of teams. Once they get like really far behind and they get nervous, they start to make these like aggressive plays that are not very well placed and whatnot. So ENVYUS hold back for a little bit to try and wait them out, but this time it doesn't play that well for ENVYUS, as Config and Rubino actually are able to strike back. They find 2 more pickups here. Kenny, though, still on point. Nice shot on the care, but he shut him down. And now Happy finds another trade there. Shuts down Config, and just like that, we're right back down to a 2 versus 2.
Still a bit of time to play with as well, but they still have to trek back to pick up the bomb, which was dropped towards the T spawn out of team A. Meanwhile, Happy goes to town. This would be a ridiculous clutch if they could pull it off from ENVYUS, but Rubino from the back of the site again strikes, and as soon as that call comes out, Kenny S makes the trek to B, and he has more than enough time to pick this up. Gets the molly, switches to the AK, makes a lot of sense in this scenario, and we'll get this bomb planted. 1v1, Rubino has no kit. He does at least have a couple flashes and most of his HP intact.
This is another thing, too, that's been happening quite a bit, is that, like, Dignitas has placed the defense in the completely wrong site. Like, despite how often ENVYUS are playing towards inner, Dignitas is still, like, many rounds is still placing, like, sometimes 4 players, and they're still committing to just, like, a one-man site defense on the other site. So it's weird to see this happening time and time again. But anyway, Kenny's going to play out this clutch now. It does peek for it initially, but he spotted the player on the bomb. The molly's going to connect. Rubino's pushed off a bit, and I think he just won the round with that. He doesn't even need to re-peek this. Rubino's running away now. He doesn't have a kit, so there we go. Kenny, nice slow play from him. He's going to clutch it out. No kills even required. And ENVYUS continue their rampage here against Dignitas in map number 1.
And he also gets the AWP. Just, you know, somehow survives the explosion, keeps the AWP, clutches the round, and Dignitas' woes continue. This has got to be so demoralizing. And this is the map that I picked as them having the best chance in. So, man, this is as rough as it gets, really. They've got a bargain bucket buy up here, a couple of assault rifles, Scout, Deagle, CZ. We've seen already that Kiabi wanted CZ. Used it at the close angle where he's just pushing past right now. This time he's got the M4. They're going to flash out there. Kiyoshima, meanwhile, on upper, was almost spoilt for choice. 2 players. He ended up shooting right down the middle of them. He gets picked off from the Deagle. But meanwhile, Kiyobi is picked off from MBK. And a 4v4, of course, will favour the terrorists, especially when you consider the weaponry that's in the hands of Dignitas right now.
So one of the other players here from Dignitas, Config, has managed to push his way towards back B hulls, but the problem is he's trapped himself in here. And then he's pushed towards it, but a molly was thrown out by ENVYUS at the exact same time. So he has to win this duel he's gotten himself into, and unfortunately he's not. Happy's going to shut him down. Tensky looking for some scout shots here. Maybe going to find NBK. No, it's not the case. He just gets pegged with a smoke grenade. And now falls back, hoping there's going to be a push inside of T-Connector. This is not the case. Everybody from ENVYUS is again shifting towards inner, where they're going to make their final push probably here. And with Happy finding the first opening kill here, that's probably going to solidify it. But Rubino, he's in a good position. If he times this properly, the problem is he's got 19 HP, so it won't be too good. There's Tensky with the scout, though. Shutting down Happy. Got something onto the board for themselves, but still a large portion of the site is in control of the members of ENVYUS. But that flank is still coming in now from Rubino. He's sneaking forward, lining up the shot into Kenny, taking one down. It's all on NBK, and he is cornered. One-on-one from both sides of this. This is going to be difficult to play out, especially with no grenades, and he's already down at 50 HP. But Tensky can't seem to line up the shot just as of yet, as he is safely behind the bomb train there, but now starting to shift a little bit here. A lot of time is going away. Neither of the players on Dignitas have kits, but here comes Tensky, and NBK completely unaware that there's going to be a player coming up behind him. So there we have Dignitas finally picking up another round for themselves, and that will bring it up to 2-12. Obviously still a very long way to go, but at the very least they find something else for themselves here. Still not going to be anywhere near enough, though, unfortunately.
Very unlikely that they'll bring this back. And I kind of feel a bit sorry there. In a 1v2, in that kind of situation, you kind of just bank. You hope that you pick the right angle to cover. You get the first frag and spin round, and then crazy things can happen. Just getting shut down from Tensky in the back with the scout. Decent buy-up from Dignitas, but as you said before, Blue, even if they do pick up this round on 3, they're going to have to then win the pistol. They're going to have to break the economy of ENVYUS to get back like 12-7, 12-8, and even then, there's a mountain to climb. So it all starts here for Dignitas. Pick up this round, pick up the pistol. Config is down, that grenade could very well finish him off. Kenny S on the forehead of Config. Kiyoshima answers onto Tensky as well, and ENVYUS have done a player up. Still, that AWP is in play with 2 players alongside it. He puts it to good use. There's Rubino from the back of the site again. He gets traded up from Apex. 2-on-2 here, and a bomb yet to be planted.
Myself trying to finish off the last couple of players. He does connect some good damage over on the Kenny, but they're starting to fall back a little bit now to get that flank position against it. Kenny looking for the slow peek, but finally, for one shot that very rarely has happened so far in this match, Kenny's actually going to miss the connection. Has to switch over to the Tech 9 in order to finish it off. Now he's put himself down to a 1 versus 1. He actually gets a perfect flash on a carry, but because he smokes himself, he doesn't realize it. And unfortunately, that smoke's going to end up being the death of him there as Kirby shuts it down. So the final half score here is going to be 3-12, heavily in the favor of ENVYUS. As up until the very end there, they absolutely ran away with things, but even with 3 rounds onto the board here, it's going to have to start off with this pistol round, otherwise ENVYUS will pretty much have map 1 in the bag.
24 frags in the first half from Kenny S is ridiculous.
Plus
Absolutely
20
ridiculous.
KD.
Yeah. Only 4 deaths.
So, like, that's the one thing, too, that on Inferno, I think, might have given Dignitas a chance to work something, is that if, like, Kenny was going to be off his game today, because Inferno tends to be a little bit of a weaker map for Kenny. But since he's, like, obviously, like, the shining star of ENVYUS, at least in this match, that immediately shifts much more of the favor for map number 2 on Inferno over towards ENVYUS once again. So this is going to be real troublesome if the momentum that Kenny is going for himself right now just carries over on that second map.
Oh, Keo.
I believe we're already live with the second half now as Keo shutting things down over here towards Ivy. You're going to see Kenny and Apex picking up 2 additional frags, and there you have it. ENVYUS shutting things down and already onto the board here in the second half.
Keo with 2 1-taps on Ivy. Just simple as you like. Easy peasy frags. I said the importance of that pistol for Dignitas was massive, and the chances of them getting back were small anyway, but now it's almost impossible. UMP, FAMAS picked up, forced by him from Dignitas. They didn't get the bomb plant, so no reason to save up for AK's next round. And even if they did, to be fair, do you really want to play to like a 14-3 and then try and win 11, 12 rounds back-to-back against ENVYUS? Unlikely. So let's see if they can break that economy right here, right now from Dig and get that bomb planted. They're setting up for the B play.
So starting to move everybody from Dignitas back over here towards the lower ramp to get themselves inside of inner. Most of the play from ENVYUS is actually held back a little bit, but one key difference here from ENVYUS is that they are actually playing 2 in the site. But you very rarely saw this from Dignitas back in the last half. They're going to assume this is probably going to be a hot spot in this half. So they've already put some players in here. They got 3 in the site, but Happy leaves himself overexposed for far too long. So MSL is going to be able to tap him down there with a Tech 9. Traded back immediately with a +1 advantage. +2 now, going by the way of ENVYUS. And they are now shutting down these players left and right. All of the offense is basically gone. It's just Rubino here trying to tap away onto NBK. But, he gets him. But still now forced back, and they know exactly where he is. And they are slowly boxing him in now. Kenny's trying to push forward a little bit. He actually finds a second one on a Kenny. Now he's at 16 HP, though. And Keo is going to be able to take him down. It'll be a full defuse, but they have plenty of time to do it. So the second round is also going to be won here by ENVYUS. They do lose quite a few of their players, so some good economical damage being done. But when you're this far behind, economical victories are not really victories anymore.
Of course, another thing that we haven't mentioned as well, Blue, is with Maniac coming into the coaching role from ENVYUS. Curious as to how that's going to play out long term. I mean, so far so good, right? They just absolutely crushed the T side, but it's going to be an interesting dynamic here for ENVYUS. Maybe that's going to give Kenny S some confidence. He's a player that when he's feeling good, when he's feeling confident, he is an absolute world beater. But probably the first to admit that if he's having a bit of an off day, he may not turn up too much. And as you said, maybe that was one of the only ways that Dignitas could potentially pick up this best of 3. But he said they are on the brink of losing train. 14-3 behind. Pretty poor buy-up. They did get the bomb planted in the last round, which allowed them a few more grenades. 3 Eagles in play, and there's the pop flash. Going to be rushing on through. Right now, it is MBK. He's been one tap from MSL. What a shot that ends up being. Is it going to mean anything, though? The bomb is on the other side of the map, so it's going to take a good 10, 15, 20 seconds to move itself to beat. And meanwhile, Happy and Kenny have chimed together and shut down 2 players. Config answers back, though. 3-on-3.
Doing some work on the side as he picks up another kill here, too. Shutting down Happy, but Apex coming in with a swift shutdown. Now the play is going to try to shift itself. The bomb specifically trying to shift itself through the ladder room as they move in. Keo does one of the challenges as of yet as he holds back, but actually I correct myself. The bomb still committing itself to the inner bomb site. Rubino coming in for the plant now, and they actually do think it's A. As it looked like Apex for a moment there was going to retreat inside of Z, but he sticks around after the plant noises come through. And it'll be a 2 versus 2 hold. Tensky's back right now, and it's just Rubino, but thankfully he picks up the 1 kill he needed to grab. Now it's just Kiyoshima pressing himself forward. He's going to try to beat Rubino to the punch, but that smoke comes out, forcing him away a little bit. This is actually going to be pretty rough for Kiyoshima to win out. As he's moving up, trying to shut down Rubino. And it's maybe Rubino that ends up beating him at the end of the day there, as Dignitas do manage to come through with a very, very crucial round. This keeps them alive in this match, and it doesn't put ENVYUS on map point just as of yet. But as we've said many, many times so far, they still have 10 more to go just to tie it up, and 12 more to actually win this map.
See, these are the kind of rounds that I was discussing towards the tail end of that first half. That ENVYUS are known for force buying because they have just so much confidence in their ability, and why the hell not? They are incredibly individually talented players. They do go full of these kind of forces and situations other teams would probably save in. So this could be a way for Dignitas to at least extend this map a little while longer, get a bit more confidence, you know, play for a bit of pride here, see how many rounds they can pull off. If ENVYUS lose this, they'll probably be into another eco. And here come the 1Ds. This time it's Apex that lands it. He's going to be able to convert that into an AK-47. Tensky is waiting, does spot a couple players, and because he's the bomb carrier, he doesn't want to hang around and try and trade off that. He just starts to dart towards B. Actually has second thoughts. He's waiting around a little bit longer here. So that bomb's not going to get planted for a little while, and this could give ENVYUS a chance to get themselves back into this round.
ENVYUS is trying to push these players back over here towards the T-spawn area. Rubino is sitting up on top. He's going to be able to connect one, though. I believe he's heard Apex, so he's going to realize the final player sitting just around the corner, lining it up perfectly, shuts down the rest of the round. And thankfully this round wasn't just a sort of one-time thing. It is going to be consistent now. They managed to break ENVYUS' economy too on those 2 rounds ago, as we failed to mention that. But it's going to be the double save from ENVYUS. There's no reason for them to worry about this as of yet. As you mentioned before, there's still 9 rounds ahead right now, so it's going to take a nice, very casual path. They do manage to pick up a couple kills in that previous one, but not really enough to where it would put a huge dent in Dignitas' economy, so they actually are on the path to building something here. Now it's going to be consistent. When we see ENVYUS getting the guns in their hands, like, I don't expect much resistance here in this round, but when ENVYUS get the guns into their hands again, and more specifically when Kenny gets that up, that's when things are going to get a little bit more dangerous. But Apex with the Deagle, lining up at least one. Happy's going to pick up a Deagle kill too. NBK, they ended up getting dropped, but it has been brought down to a 2 versus 2. Unfortunately, with neither of the remaining members of ENVYUS having upgrades, it's going to make it a very, very hard clutch now for Happy to make. More than likely, there we have it. Kirby just going to shut it down with a nice headshot.
The buy will be coming in now, though, from ENVYUS, as they have an AWP, in fact, double AWP set up from Kenny S and Happy as well. Definitely a map that supports the double AWP setup. And when you've got Kenny S on the form that he's in, why the hell not? Also, Apex, 18 for 12, landing some of those 1Ds. Happy's on 17 for 11. Top fragger for Dignitas right now is Rubino on 18 for 15. So he's been performing pretty well, all things considered, that his team has been getting battered by and large here on train. Grenade fires in. Doesn't do too much damage to MSL, just 16 in total. I think you may have just caught a glimpse of him, though. So you can see instantly MBK pulls himself back onto the site, and Happy moves into position with the AWP.
So they're starting to move out. They've already been spotted there by Happy. He's going to be able to connect some shots. Unfortunately, the lower defense fails completely. NBK, he's going to get dropped by Rubino, and now he's just actually going to push forward. He gets a nice smoke lineup and catching Apex through the smoke there. Managed to spot him a little bit, so they get it going. Rubino's going to press forward to hold more site control, and it's working its charm right now. As ENVYUS, they're completely falling back. They're not even going to attempt this retake now. 2 versus 4. Neither remaining players having kits, so there's no chance they're going to be able to do it. This is another round going by the way of Dignitas, and they are actually having a semblance of a comeback now.
Let's see if ENVYUS can at least save these 2 weapons. It could. Let's look at a quick look at their economy. Well, with ENVYUS, you never quite know. Maybe they'd force with a few Deagles alongside it, but by and large, it should be just the AWP and the M4 in play, as Kenny is going to land himself the frag. Dignitas will move to 7 rounds. This is a respectable drive in the right direction, but again, it's just they've left themselves such little wiggle room here, Blue. Like, if they make one mistake, they derp in a round, that's it. It's pretty much game, set, match to ENVYUS on train. So that's the issue with such a huge deficit. They've just got to keep going forward here, keep landing those entries. A pretty solid round, but by and large, I think Happy missed a couple shots with the AWP, which you'll be very disappointed by.
The big thing to keep in mind here, too, is that the economy for Dignitas is not necessarily in the worst position it could be in. We still have 2 players that are in a position to buy a rifle for their teammates, so even if we see ENVYUS shutting down one of these rounds here, the Dignitas are still going to be able to resist it with a full gun buy, more than likely. Maybe like 1 Tech 9 coming in the mix, but that last player could probably just force up and not have utility. We're still looking at pretty much a complete buy coming out from Dignitas on that final round, so they'll still have a chance to resist it even at that point. But as you mentioned, it's just 2 rounds that ENVYUS need to shut down this match compared to, I think, 9 that Dignitas needs. So
yep,
pretty big difference. It sort of speaks for itself there. And obviously, things need to remain very, very consistent here on this T-sided half if they want to shut this down. But Kenny still has that op, catching a nice shot on a config, taking him down. So still doing some damage here to Dignitas, but he has given himself away to a certain degree, and now trying to play it out, shutting down MSL, remaining mobile too. He's now going to move out, possibly taking down Tensky here in a second, but I don't think he expects a player to be in there in Ivy. Finally, that op falls to the ground. That will be picked up by Tensky. As now in just a moment here, possibly MBK goes down. Not going to be the case, but still they know where he is now. And obviously this round, of course, is going to go by the way of Dignitas once again.
It certainly is. MBK's not going to be able to save that Deagle either or get any exit frags. He will also bite the dust. But another bite is coming in as ENVYUS only got a couple of Kevlars, I think, alongside those weapons and upgraded pistols. They didn't put too much value into that round. Kenny S and Happy again pick up the AWPs. Last time it was set up the MBK on the close train next to the site, and then Happy the back of the trains trying to pick off upper. I wonder if they'll go for that same kind of setup again here. It looks likely. It didn't work last time. The smokes were way too devastating for ENVYUS to deal with, and Dignitas just got those entries. And it looks like B is the more comfortable approach from Dig, so I think they're going to go for that one again here. They're looking for the set play.
And they're now moving in very, very slowly towards it. NVK sitting back. I think he realizes that there is going to be a play coming towards him a little bit here. And yep, he spots the upper push. Doesn't even take any damage either, but he doesn't connect any either. And he's very, very nervous about this as he's playing that forward. He's not even going to be able to pick up anything. It's Happy is the only player that's able to find a kill. And he's going to get dropped very quickly. MSL lining up another shot from upper there. Shuts down Apex. And again, another very swift take of the inner bomb site is going to allow Dignitas to already take control of this round and now find a 9th round for themselves.
MSL landed a couple of sick shots there from upper. Just caught a glimpse of the top of the head and took it clean off. Rubino somehow gets the frag. Kenny S maybe having words with Kiyoshi, like, dude, I thought you had him back. Just ran right out there, nailed him in the back. But ENVYUS, I mean, now they're going to start to worry a tiny bit. They're going to be looking over their shoulder. Dignitas are making a real run for this. This is going to be 6 rounds in a row now to Dignitas. And ENVYUS won't have a great buy-up. And I don't think Kiyoshi's going to save his AK either. No, he gets absolutely smashed in the head. And Dig will pick up their 9th round. And you can see ENVYUS' economy. They could maybe go for some Deagles with Kevlar, but that's all. Dig are potentially right back into this game, Blue.
Yep. So we'll see now on the save from ENVYUS. This is a bit of an interesting and possibly unrelated stat point to what you were just discussing. We would sort of expect now Kenny's KD ratio to fall off a little bit here, or just his dominating performance to fall off a little bit. But at least since the last time we checked in on it, which was like, I think 3/4 of the way through the previous half, it was sitting at plus 20 frags. He's still sitting at plus 20 frags. In fact, he's upped it a little bit. He's sitting at plus 21 frags now, so losing on these rounds has not affected him at all. It's the rest of the team, unfortunately, that's falling a little bit short, at least when it comes to the fragging power in this match.
And therein maybe lays the issue that, you know, Kenny S has been firing on all cylinders, but hasn't had the most support from the rest of his team. Although, I would say that Apex and Happy have been landing a couple of pretty tasty frags, but by and large, it has been the Kenny S show here. That being said, this round, no warp for him, just the 5-7. Apex is the first to fall, the first casualty of war, and now Dignitas are going for the jugular. Kiyoshi gets sprayed down. Kenny S has answered back. Happy lands a 1 dig. He's looking for another one as well. Rubino comes out, gets traded out from MBK. A 2-on-1, and the bomb has dropped to a bit of a precarious position for Dignitas. MBK, though, that grenade hurts. Down to 48 HP. He will be peeking, gets tagged again, and now, of course, Dig knows exactly where he is. Down to 1 HP. How is he not dead? Finally gets finished off, and Dig hit the double digits, which is always a great psychological boost. Only 4 rounds behind now.
Doing some nice damage there, though. Almost seeing the clutch come out there from the final member of ENVYUS, but it's not meant to happen, and ENVYUS actually getting a little bit nervous themselves here. They are going to go for the big buy, and we can see that, at least in the terms of NBK, he hasn't been able to get it to a point where he felt confident enough to buy a rifle. Still definitely could have gone for it, looking at the money he has left over it, but he's actually gone for the shotgun buy, and he's going to play towards lower again, hoping that Dignitas do decide to play towards that. It's looking likely right now, so this could be dangerous, but it is relying on the support coming up from Happy, which has been somewhat hit or miss with his own op, as he watches out for that with the big gun. That's been played out for quite a few rounds now, and more times than not, we've actually seen him go down first. But here comes the play now. NBK, he's going to play it up nice and close. Connecting one, that's going to hold it back, but not before he picks up a second frag. Tensky falling down. Happy connects his shot with the op. That takes down MSL. Dignitas are running scared now. Rubino's trying to make an entry into the outside bomb site. We can see Keo here to defend this one, and Keo's going to hold this one too, as it's now just Kirby heading down inside of ladder room, but in a 1 versus 5 with 0 damage done to the members of ENVYUS. It's going to be a rough play.
I love that MBK switches his style up there, realizing that B was the Achilles tendon of ENVYUS. Just goes super close with the Mag 7. We know he can use it on maps like Mirage. He loves to use it over on B alongside the Scout. And what a fantastic double that he picks himself up. And right there is ENVYUS alleviating so much pressure off their shoulders. Still, Dignitas have been pretty solid on their T side, so I wouldn't rule out the idea of overtime, but that's going to be a lot of relief for the Frenchman.
And this is ultimately what we were talking about at the beginning of this half when Dignitas did start off that little bit of a run they had, is that, you know, this is great that they're coming back now, but still ENVYUS only need 2 rounds to win this one, and already it looks like this one could be the final one in favor of ENVYUS, doing some great damage to the members of Dignitas before MSL is able to strike back. And there's going to be Kenny finding one. Config and MSL doing some work there near the bomb train, though. They shut down 2 more. NBK strikes back with his own to shut out Config, leaving it down to a 2 versus 2. MSL and Kirby fall back a little bit to hold both the short alley and this middle one here. And Kirby lining up one of the final shots. All that's left alive now is NBK at 32 HP. Still holds control of the bomb train partially, but it's going to be a very, very tough encounter for him to clutch out now.
Especially considering his HP and his position. Still not a ton to play with, an MSL puts him down in the head. Dignitas do somehow salvage that round, which was looking like it was going very quickly in the hands of ENVYUS. And we talked about this on the flip side when Dignitas were on the CT side, that yeah, if you go behind a few rounds, you win one, that's great, but you got to keep the momentum going forward, or you cancel that round loss bonus. That's exactly where ENVYUS find themselves now. So they're back into an eco again. And Dignitas are looking so good right now.
But something happened in that last round, so possibly all points we've just made have been made mute. As very possibly this could be the final one. Config starts it off, shuts down NBK. And we do see some good damage being done to the members of ENVYUS now as they start to fall back a little bit more. Dignitas trying to press through this, but they're heavily smoked off here right now. And Apex pressing forward, finds one, finding a second, finding a third now as he takes out MSL, Tensky, and Rubino. Holy crap. And now there's 2 AKs in the hands of 2 of the remaining members on ENVYUS. A 4 versus 2 to be one of the final rounds of this map. And they're trying to press their way through short alley here. At least one of them is in Config. He's hugging the right side, but he's been flanked. He doesn't even realize it. Happy just takes him down so casually. Kia with the Deagle lines up the final frags of the round. There we have it. Map number 1 goes by the way of ENVYUS. 16-11 is going to be our final score. And that will start ENVYUS off strong here in this set with a 1-0 lead.
How did that even happen? It looked on my screen like Apex were flat.